Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. What is going on, Clint Nation? Happy Thirsty Thursday to you. I'm still not drinking too much here in this semi-dry January, but we are having a monster. Hashtag not a sponsor. Please sponsor your boy. On today's show, we are talking about the Kirby Yates deal being official. We're talking about Ryan Braiser being no longer a Dodger, and we're talking more Dodgers talk as spring training and everything is just around the corner. And today, my friend Greg Bergman is joining the show, and that is what he looks like. Everybody, welcome him in. Of course, he is the man of many, many hats over at ESPN LA. So he's legit. He's legit.
Yeah, if you want to say legit, it's whatever you're feeling for the day. But yeah, thanks for. I always love doing this with you, Clint. So it's Clint Nation. We are in the home of Clint Nation. I like.
Listen, it was their idea last year. It wasn't mine, but we'll let it eat. We'll let it eat. But guys, I am Clint Vesia. If you don't know me, let's make sure we push the button so I have the things that I didn't change yours on this one. So you're Kevin. You're Kevin on this one. So just kind of deal with it. Kevin is off tonight. The missus is not feeling well, so I told him go be a good fiance and take care of your missus. But guys, already have our first one. Mr. Classic saying Chris Taylor is Clint's guest. Chris Taylor is in the house, of course. We'll hit the man again. Please like the show, subscribe to the show, do all that kind of stuff. If you are not subscribed, you're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. And you could help by being one of those if you're not already. All right, enough about me. Let's talk to you. How you feeling after, I think it's been a pretty decent offseason for the Dodgers. I got to check with sources about that, but what do you think about what we've seen so far?
Multiple, as you used to say, sauces that are out there, so that they had a really good offseason. It's crazy. These last two off seasons, if you combine them, they're by far the best offseason in history. And you see my dog just jumping around behind me.
Have a good time.
But either way, it's amazing that what the Dodgers are doing right now. I hate the whole narrative. Oh, hey, I got my actual name.
Got the right name.
Not the right name. Very well done. But it's what they're doing in this offseason and last offseason combined is something that I've never seen. I mean, it's close to what, probably up on a higher level than what the Yankees did in the 90s. But this is something that is just beyond amazing. Everybody that the Dodgers want, they get. And so now if you're going to be adding in Kirby Yates, who was a legitimate arm in the bullpen last year for the Rangers, and everything else that you've had, Blake Snell and Ha-Seong Kim, and it's an amazing time to be a Dodger fan, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, and this Roki Sasaki kid, we're assuming is going to be pretty dang good.
Yeah, Roki. Oops.
Yeah. Oh no, Sasaki. It's all good. And there's so much, and I agree with you. The last two off seasons, like after I don't know if it was painful, but it was a bit of a struggle for sure, surviving like the 22-23 offseason. And I've talked about it a good amount this during, over the course of this winter, seeing people like Trey Turner leave, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, had the other name in my brain, Cody Bellinger, seeing all those guys leave. Now Walker Buehler, that's probably the most painful one that hasn't made it, or that was unfortunately not coming back to the Dodgers is my point here. But otherwise, I mean, it's been fun. I keep saying it's a fun time to be a Dodger fan right now, and this front office just keeps on keeping on. They keep on amazing. They keep on doing great things. We got a $2 super chat from Seth Klein in the chat. Says subscribe and join the Patreon and the Discord, guys. I'd appreciate it if you do that. It's $5 a month if you want to support the show, and with that, you could also join us on Discord, where we're talking about Dodger baseball all day long. But yeah, you got I wouldn't say you got ahead, but let's talk about the actual headline news here.
Sure.
Kirby Yates becomes official. Ryan Braiser, as we expected, kind of the odd man out, officially designated for assignment by the Dodgers just a few minutes ago. All of this became official. And 1 year, $13 million deal for Yates. and there
There's
is
incentive.
up. I think there's up to $1 million in incentives. You I think you undersold him a little bit in how good he was for the Rangers last year. Some people argue he was like the second best reliever in baseball. Very, very good. The numbers back it up, and he's been good for a long time. And we've seen him beat down on the Dodgers, in a Padres uniform for quite some time. He led the Padres in saves, led the league in saves in 2019 with like 44 or whatever. He's very, very good at his job. And the thing that's awesome, the thing that makes this offseason that much more fun, it's like off seasons past, it would be, Kirby Yates, that's the guy. But they also got Tanner Scott on top of that. Somebody we were talking a whole bunch about either on this show or whenever I joined you on Blue Review. It's like, hey, Tanner Scott. How insanely good is this fucking bullpen now with all of these pieces where, in years past, we don't have to survive like Pedro Baez's and Yimi Garcia's and going even further back, Yency Brazaban.
Want to go to Brandon League? We can talk about Brandon League for a moment if you'd like.
I don't think anybody wants that one. It's a fun time to be a Dodger fan, and I do want to ask you, like, what are your full thoughts on this reloaded bullpen? But before I do that, I got to get one more piece of housekeeping out of the way. Guys, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025, whether you are a seasoned fan or just newer to the betting and all that kind of stuff. BetOnline has you covered. It is, again, the number one source, it's most trusted, all that kind of stuff. They have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, exclusive in-game live betting. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion, whether you're a seasoned fan, first-time bettor, all that kind of stuff. I already said that part, but visit the website today, get in on the action, and make it count a little bit more with BetOnline. BetOnline, the game starts here. Totally nailed that read. Sorry about that, BetOnline. I forgot there was an updated read, and I had to pull it up in real time. But yeah, let's
Seamless. I love this. By the way, before you go any further, I can absolutely tell you've had a monster. So
that was the first drink. That was the first drink right now, I promise.
That was the first sip. You're moving 500 miles an hour. I love it. Excited.
Listen, because I want to get the Dodger talk. People are here. Friends are here. Guys, share the show if you don't mind. But what are your thoughts? I mean, how good is this bullpen? Again, you're adding Kirby Yates. You're adding Tanner Scott. You subtract Danny Hudson and Brent Honeywell. It's like, you guys did a lot of important things, but those two names are better. You put somebody like Edgardo Henriquez and Ben Kasparius back in probably a better role for them, which is at AAA. Some dudes who can come up, come down. How good is this bullpen to you?
This bullpen to me, and you know my saying over and over again when it comes to the bullpens. So like, it sounds amazing right now. Everything that you're seeing in this bullpen, you're like, yeah, this is the best bullpen of all time. Well, guess what? This bullpen is not going to be the same bullpen at the end of the year. It never is. It doesn't happen that way. Somebody that we're not expecting is going to be at the end of it in the bullpen that we're thinking like, oh my God, this is exactly what we need. On the surface, this looks amazing. I'm so happy about it. And it's not just what it used to be. Last year was very righty heavy. All you had was Alex Vesia and Anthony Banda. Now you've added Tanner Scott, and you've added Jack Dreyer, who's actually going to be up there. Now they saved him on the 40-man roster, so maybe he gets a shot in there. Now you have at least 4 different guys from the left side. I really love that. I also heard, I don't know if you heard this as well, at some point over the last week or two, there was talk about Tim Hill coming over to the Dodgers as well, and then you're just basically stacking guys lefties that can get Shohei Ohtani out and saying, if you can get Shohei Ohtani out, we're just going to take you, so you can't do that to us. And I think it's actually amazing. But this bullpen, super excited about it. Kirby Yates is somebody that was really good for a really long time. Then he missed the 2021 season, and he kind of had to work himself back. He wasn't that great in 2022, wasn't that great in 2023, and all of a sudden he gets to the Rangers, and you're thinking, oh my God, this guy is the guy that you saw from 5 years ago. So if he's that same dude this year, that's an amazing pickup. I don't even know where you're going to put everybody at this point.
That's the next question. It's like, who's the odd man out? Because there is just an insane amount of talent laying around for this team. And we haven't mentioned, still our friend. We never doubted him once last season, Alex Vesia. You still have Anthony Banda, everybody's favorite nighttime player to look at. Evan Phillips still around. Michael Kopech, who Brandon Gomes came on. I think he went on with John Heyman and the other guy Joel Sherman, mentioning I don't know where this whole thing about Michael Kopech maybe missing the first month of the season came from, but that's completely BS. He's fine. He's healthy. He's ready to go. I don't know where you. Though? Huh?
Would you be upset if Michael Kopech missed the first month of the season? Are you going to be sad?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I would rather see the team be healthy in October, be healthy in September, than need to see what the bullpen looks like. Because I agree with you. Whatever we see, all these names, they're not going to be around on this roster come September, come August, come October time, and we're not even talking about some of the other names that currently in the starting rotation that could potentially end up in the bullpen. You mentioned Dustin May a whole bunch, Tony Gonsolin potentially in that mix. Where does Clayton Kershaw fit in the picture once he's back and healthy? Not in the bullpen, that's for sure. Oh, God. But yeah,
you don't need that again. I don't need that in my life anymore. If Clayton Kershaw is coming out of the bullpen in the postseason, we're in trouble. That's all I have to say about that.
That's not a bold take at all. That's not a bold take. That's a reasonable take. Of the names, I would say it's not a bold take to say Michael Grove is probably the next man who could be DFA'd if this team needs a roster spot. And I don't think any other crazy moves happen until spring training gets here, until that 60-day injured list that we've been talking a whole bunch about here online, until that becomes available to this team. And then you'll see the Kershaw deal. You'll see somebody go to the IL. You'll see Kershaw go to the IL, and maybe you'll see Kike Hernandez come back. Maybe you'll see some other moves happen. I still don't think this team is done. Do you think, because we saw it pretty late last offseason, if I remember correctly, if my timeline of it is correctly, but we saw the Michael Busch trade happen relatively late. They were working overtime trying to trade Brasier rather than DFA Brasier, and they still could trade Brasier.
10 days, right?
Yeah,
so
10 days, and a good deal on Brasier there. He gets a ring. He still gets his $4.5 million, and he could go sign elsewhere for as much money as he wants. Could another trade do you think a trade could happen? Something still in the works. So, Andy and Brandon, they are not done.
Right. I would still kind of really like a trade, to be honest with you. I know there's already too much in there, but we have a guy named Chris Taylor who you said, I mean, obviously I look like him. Everybody says that all the time. But either way, I would love to see him traded. I don't think he's someone that fits on this team anymore, just like I never thought that Gavin Lux fit on this team as well. The only difference between those two is that Chris Taylor played a whole bunch of positions, whereas Gavin Lux is a second baseman only, and he can only hit righties. So he was a platoon second baseman that could only hit one side of the plate.
And that's not ideal.
That doesn't fit in this type of world. So I would love if you can move Brasier for some pieces, if you can move CT3 for some players. I think I'd love that. And even if it's just minor leaguers and just keep adding into your minor league. I don't know if you saw Baseball America. I know I'm switching over to something else, but there was 8 or 9 guys that are in the minor leagues for the Dodgers that are in the top 100 from Baseball America. That to me is just silly. The fact that this team you have the best team in Major League Baseball, and you have one of the best minor league teams in Major League Baseball, and you have one of the best international scouting teams in Major League Baseball. That's not supposed to happen. So, so to get back to the other point, yes, I still do think there's going to be something because I don't think CT3 is long for this team. I don't think if they can try to move Brasier, I'm sure that's the thing. Outman, I see in here, Jenny Vega, Outman is tradable. Yeah. Sure, if people want to really kind of, take a chance on him, still young, good.
And that's the thing. That's what makes him, I think, the worthwhile asset to go out and acquire for another team. Like if Jimmy Outman was acquired by the Angels, I think he could have himself something of a career. Doesn't really have an opportunity for playing time with the Dodgers unless it is to be kind of the next man up. But they have other dudes laying around, and if they're not going to be able to eat that Chris Taylor deal, or depending on what they do with Andy Pajes, if he's down in AAA, or trading CT3, and do they want Kike back? Is Alex Freeland or some of the other minor league dudes that aren't on the roster yet? How much do they want to get them in the mix? Looking at somebody like Outman, if I'm another team, one of these bad teams that doesn't want to spend money, but you have a couple of prospects, 40-man roster space is precious for the Dodgers right now. So if you're able to free up a spot, I can imagine them, being open to all versions of trades, even if it's that and some sort of package. Michael Grove, again, I'm going to throw him out there. Chris Taylor.
You really want to get rid of that guy. I mean, I'm with you on that. But remember, you mentioned the Michael Busch trade. We got Zaire, Hope, and Jackson Ferris in that deal. So those are two guys that are now in your top 50 according to Baseball America. So if you can do that same thing, trade Outman and CT3 or a couple other players to get other guys that can go into your minor league system to be able to help in that sense, I think you absolutely do that. And to your point, adding to the 40-man roster so that you can take some out and then you can bring other people in.
And you also mentioned Baseball America. There were 6 Dodgers on that list. ESPN is the one that had Kyler McDaniel had 8 Dodgers on his list. Two of those, I know it's his this season for list version 1 of 2025. But 2 of those names were acquired in that Michael Busch trade, and Zaire Hope and Jackson Ferris. So if you're able to swing something, I was personally, I wouldn't say shocked, but I would have expected another piece going to Cincinnati along with Gavin Lux. It kind of made a little sense in my opinion. Maybe Michael Grove or something like that. But
that is, I think, the 4th time you've mentioned Michael Grove.
This is the All Grove Hour here on All Dodgers. But yeah, there's some. Hey, John, bringing up a good point, a good name as well. If we're talking about getting Outman out of the mix, this could be the year we see Dalton Rushing make his debut. Should be the year we see him make his debut. He's catching. He's playing some outfield. So if somebody gets hurt, if let's say Andy Pages kind of flounders, you could Conforto, whatever happens with him, you could see some path to getting Dalton Rushing some playing time, but you still need a roster spot to make that happen, and that's where somebody like James Outman is a pretty clear. Hey, buddy, you look at all these names, you're not one of them. I love the dude; he's a great dude, but we're in a different climate, a different era of Dodger baseball where you can't just be okay anymore. You need to be the best of the best, and that's where you see Ryan Braiser. I mean, this is a veteran dude. He started, opened games for the Dodgers all through the postseason, in the World Series, all that kind of stuff, and they're like, you're not good enough for us in 2025. I'm sorry. Here's your money. We'll send you your ring. It's a different time to be to be wearing that Dodger uniform. You got to be better.
Yep, you absolutely do. And I really thought you were going to say Michael Grove one more time when you were saying what you're going to get rid of. You went a different route.
You got to be better.
You do got to be better. That was all on you. But no, you were talking about Dalton Rushing. Yeah, I mean, they put him in the outfield for a reason, because catcher is basically short up here at this point.
Yeah.
You have Will Smith under contract for a long time. He doesn't seem to be moving from catcher for quite some time. Austin Barnes is still there, although I don't think he's long for that spot, being the backup catcher. But you can see a Hunter Fiducia taking that over if it's not Dalton. Dalton seems to be a guy you want to get in the lineup as consistently as possible if he does come up. So if he's coming up, he's going to play. It's not going to be that once a week that Austin Barnes does. I can see Hunter Fiducia doing something like that, but I think in the meantime, Dalton Rushing being able to play that left field, that's important for this team, having that positionality that they love so much.
And that's what was bad for Lux. That's what was so tough for Lux, like you alluded to. He can't be stuck at one position and also be a Dodger unless, Teoscar kind of, but even he went back and forth. Muncy,
left and right.
Muncy was even playing first when Freddie was hurt. The only guy is Will. But that makes sense. He's Will Smith. He's your starting catcher. He can stay in one spot. But anyways, sorry, I derailed you there, or steamrolled you.
Not at all. I don't actually. No, you're fine. It's your show. You say whatever you want. That's the one area that I'm kind of interested to hear about for this team. Talking about Dalton Rushing in the outfield at some point. The outfield is the thing that kind of messes with me the most when it comes to this team. Is that Teoscar Hernandez, not a great defensive outfielder, great offensively, and he's going to be a huge help, and my favorite Dodger last year, and still is my favorite Dodger at this point. Andy Pages or Tommy Edman probably at center. They're saying Tommy Edman now. I can't believe that Mookie Betts will actually play shortstop. I'm assuming he's going to be the second baseman.
Yeah.
And I don't think Michael Conforto is a very good outfielder either, so defensively. And I don't think he's that great offensively either, so I would like to see more in the outfield if possible. Andy Pages, again, we don't know what he is as much as we saw him get his vote. I'm sorry, my dog.
Apparently, as much as I'm apparently not a Michael Grove fan, your dog is not an Andy Pages fan.
Not at all. God, relax. Okay.
Things become things.
Yeah, I don't see the defensiveness of this outfield is where I am seeing the biggest issues. If you want to like search and find it.
And this is a point I do want to dive into that a lot more. I have one more thing I did want to bring up before we get into a whole conversation about strengths and weaknesses for this team. And we could argue that there are a lot more strengths than weaknesses, but there's still some. However, one more bit of news since we were last live here on Monday, myself and Kevin, actual Kevin, not fill-in Kevin here by name, but the other one, Alex Vesia, our friend, our favorite. He got you could kind of call it an extension. He got a 1-1, what is it, $3 or upwards of $3 million or something like that. I forgot the numbers offhand, but the important thing is Alex Vesia has a contract for 2025. That's what it is, and it could be up to 3.5, and then there's an option for like 3. What is it for next year?
For 2026, I think there's an option as well.
Which makes it sort of like an extension, but sort of like, hey, we don't want to have to go to arbitration with you. Listen, the important thing of this, good for Alex, good for the Dodgers to get that figured out. You'd hate to see them have to go to arbitration. It's just not a good look, and I love the vibes. We love the vibes that Alex brings to that bullpen, brings to those dogs down in the bullpen. But quickly, just kind of waxing, I guess we'll say waxing poetic or whatever the hell it is, looking at Alex Vesia here, because you and I are amongst the people a year ago that we're doing this exercise of like strengths and weaknesses, and if we're circling one thing, like one area of concern, it's like, and it wasn't an indictment on Alex Vesia, it's just at the time he was the biggest kind of question mark, the biggest unknown. Now the difference a year makes. This man's a World Series champion. He was nails all year long, probably didn't get enough love throughout the season, and then how important he was through the postseason run, even though he missed some time with that injury. Difference a year makes.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah. One of my biggest things is like I need to find some kind of villain on my team that I can not like. So like for the Lakers, it was D'Angelo Russell. He's gone. So now maybe it's going to be Rui Hachimura. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be somebody.
Got to find somebody.
I got to find somebody to be like, you're the problem. If we get rid of you.
Is it kind of brawny right now a little bit?
Well, Bron, that's an entire hour's worth of this show that I'm not going to do. This is Dodgers. So, and
bring
with the
back
Dodgers,
Lakers Raw.
Yeah, no, Lakers Raw. Wow, God, you're going old school there. But for the Dodgers, it was Vesia last year, especially at the beginning of the year. He was giving up home runs, but then he changed. He changed the way his out pitches were. He wasn't relying on the fastball. He was using his off-speed pitches to offset his fastball, and he became a totally different pitcher, a pitcher that you saw years prior. So I was happy that he finally started to look good. And the fire that he shows on the mound, that makes a big, big difference for this team because it gets everybody else fired up too. So I love everything that Alex Vesia did. I was totally wrong. I mean, at the time, he was bad. He got so much better throughout, and we would not have gotten to the World Series or won the World Series without the contributions of Alex Vesia. So it's nice. It's good for him to be able to, but you're right. The difference a year makes, because we're always trying to find it. After Vesia, who was it? It was Gavin Lux, right?
Yes.
And now Gavin Lux. Then he's got hot for like 3-4 weeks, and everyone's like, oh my God, Gavin Lux is amazing. And then he fell back into being singles hitting out Gavin Lux, and he is no longer here.
Yeah, and also had some more injury issues and other things. And again, limited to second base. That was going to be his ultimate downfall. And hey, you know what? I wish him the best in Cincinnati. Him and I became best friends in 2024. So hoping the best for him. It is this time for real World Series champion for sure. 2020 felt probably a little less than earned or whatever. But I wanted to read. I got a $5 super chat from Zip Code Zero. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Zip Code Zero says odds that Mookie and Edman switch positions this season. So let's pin that. Let's pin that because that is great conversation for strengths and weaknesses, and I love that, and I thank you, and I love you for that. If I'm calling this Vesia deal an extension, and we saw surprisingly an extension last year, Will Smith getting an insane, we almost kind of forget the 10-year deal last year. Is there anybody that you would like to see this team potentially extend besides Dave Roberts? Because I think that one's already in the bag. We're just waiting for the offseason to be figured. Is there anybody you'd like to see this team potentially extend? Because everybody's like insanely under contract. It feels like already.
Dude, it doesn't. I mean, who doesn't have a long contract? Muncy maybe, but I don't think that he's long for that third base position. He's still not great defensively, and also you don't know what you're going to get from him in the World Series. Obviously, he was not anything that he was in the NLCS. See who I would. I mean, everybody else.
CT3.
No, hell no. I mean, Mookie's under contract for a long time. Will Smith is. Freddie Freeman is. Teoscar is. Edman now is. He got extended. You got the Conforto for what you wanted. I mean, everybody is pretty much where they need to be. And your bullpen is so volatile that, and even the guys that they do have, yes, they're where they need to be. I don't have a specific person right now.
The names, because I was having that I asked that question aloud, and I also asked producer Kevin, the actual Kevin, earlier today. This kind of like, hey, this seems like something that it's kind of a worthwhile topic, because we were talking about this, a year ago as well. We haven't seen an extension for quite some time. Dodgers actually extending one of their own. The only names I could kind of come up with, I got three names here. You could say Michael Kopech. However, I agree with your assessment there. Bullpen volatility makes that tough, and you've only seen a couple months of him. Right. Evan Phillips. That's, you have a bit more track record with him. He's been around since 21, but again, the volatility, and you have some other pieces with Kasperius, Henriquez. You have guys you're already blocking at the minor league level. So it's like, do you want to keep these guys around for the sake of keeping them around, or find a way to make that part, that your bullpen, the cheap part of the roster, of which there are no cheap parts of this 2025 roster and going forward. One name I came up with, and there's no reason to, I want to see, just for me, just for fun, just for all of us, Freddie Freeman get a couple more years tacked on to the end of that deal.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
When's it up? When is this deal up?
He's got 3 more years, including this year. There's 3 more years, and just keep him a Dodger for life. Like, he's not going to be done at that point. He'll be 37, 38. Yeah, I forgot how old he'll be, but he's got plenty of ball left in the tank, and that swing will play up and all that kind of stuff. Like, give me Freddie. Yeah. Can we make it happen? Okay. Can you call Andrew right now? Make it happen.
Let me see if I got him on speed dial here. Andrew Friedman. No, I don't have that number. Freddie.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can see Freddie, but Freddie would be the only one, especially with the position players. I don't really like the idea of extending guys that are in the bullpen. You have so many pieces now too that however long you have them is however long you have them, because they could be amazing one year, and then the next year they're just absolute dog shit. And I love the fact that I can curse on here, because I heard you do it earlier.
It's encouraged here.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I don't trust bullpen. And Andrew Friedman, I feel, is the same way. He just says he does not want to put money behind bullpen, but he also doesn't want to buy anything at the trade deadline anymore. That's the last thing he wants to do. So that's why he's kind of going all in here. But I guarantee you something's going to be wrong at the trade deadline, and it's going to be something bullpen related, most likely, despite the fact that we have so many arms. We have so many good players, whether righty, lefty, whatever it is, there's always going to be some kind of issue, because that's just how baseball works. Yeah. I think Evan Phillips is the other guy, but he got hurt at the end of the year. He was hurt early, fixed himself in the middle of the year, and then got hurt late. And so you don't know anything. So besides besides Freddie, which maybe if you just want to do the whole, for life deal, it's really just him and Dave Roberts, which is crazy also that I'm going to say Dave Roberts, first of all.
Yeah, Alana and I had Bill Plunkett on Dodgers territory last week, or earlier this week. It was Monday. Time has no meaning. And asked him about, kind of the Dave Roberts situation, if they heard any rumblings of a contract extension. And he went into this whole great diatribe about that he called it a sliding glass. I'm calling it, or sliding door moment. I'm calling it like a breakthrough moment, and circling that game 4 of the NLDS, how important that was to just changing the narrative from 23, from 22. The Dodgers were getting bounced again in the first round. And then game 4 happened. It was a bullpen game. He made every move. Every decision was the correct decision. I think one other time that postseason, he probably made one. I did not like game 4 of the World Series. I think that could have been a little bit better.
Terrifying. Yeah.
But otherwise, masterclass for Dave, and I hope he obliterates Craig Counsell's average money, manager money, however the hell that's calculated. Dave deserves more. Yeah, Dave, he drives a Lamborghini, but you also have to be a good driver to drive a Lamborghini, or else you're just going to spin out. And Dave kept this team. He kept the rubber on the track. He kept people alive, and somehow through all the injuries, through all the tires blowing out, to force the analogy to continue, he kept them going all the way through a World Series. It was impressive.
It was extremely impressive. I remember being on ESPN LA and saying, before the season started, if he doesn't win a World Series, he should be fired. And I fully meant it. Then after the Padres series, it's like, okay, he's been fantastic right now. I think this is the first season. I think he mentioned it on Mookie Betts' podcast too. This is one of the first times that he was really using his true gut and went with his feel of the game instead of just listening to the analytics and going what they're telling him to do upstairs. It really felt like that. I don't know how much is coming from Andrew Friedman. They work so well together, but it really felt like mid-game decisions were being done exactly how they were. Even if I was screaming at the time, like, that's a terrible decision. It worked out perfectly. He did know. It felt like he knew what he was doing, and that was the first time I felt like that even before 2020. This was the first time, and everything he deserves every single flower in the world, and he deserves a raise, and he deserves an extension, and he deserves to be a Dodger manager for life.
Great, well said. And it's funny. I think I went on a Blue Review after game 2 or whatever. You weren't. I don't think you were there, but it was me and Marcus talking about it, and it was just like, what happens to Dave if they get bounced again? Like, you can't. No, it just couldn't. Thank God. Didn't happen. Yeah. Thank God we didn't have to get to that point. Also,
if you lose that game, if you lose in the first round, I know a lot of people there's a lot of people always going to say it's idiotic to fire Dave. But if you go back and they lose 3 years in a row in the NLDS to your division rivals 3 years in a row, you deserve to be fired no matter what sport you're in. If it happens to the Lakers in basketball, it happens to the Kings in hockey. If it happens to, the Rams or the Raiders, whoever it is in football, you deserve to be fired if you lose to your division rival 3 years in a row in the first round.
I agree, but I feel like there were, and luckily, again, all of this is a moot point, but this is still worth the conversation beyond just Dave and the Dodgers and all that, just in sports in general. Like, Dave had a lot of. The team had so many issues. They were missing almost all of the starting rotation. There was injuries, all this kind of stuff. It's like you can't say, how come you didn't win? I'm going to go back to the car analogy. How did you not win that race despite the fact that we didn't fill up your gas tank before the race started? This is your fault. It's like it's really hard to throw Dave completely at fault. Now, we're beyond hot seat. We're talking about him sitting literally in a seat that is like just, he's going to be in a sauna all year. It's going to be very hot for Dave in 25. I really didn't want to make a hot seat and being on fire joke amid the climate there. but
not the right spot.
No, not the right spot. But the worst thing is, I still kind of said it. So, because I'm that guy. The point is, we don't need to worry about it. Dave deserves his extension, and I messed up on one part, as producer Mrs. FRG puts in my notes. Dodgers legend Freddie Freeman, Dodgers future Hall of Famer Freddie Freeman, deserves a contract extension.
Exactly. By the way, I was at that game. I am so excited. The walk-off. I was at game one of the bitch. I saw the whole thing. I was asked at the beginning of the week, hey, I got tickets. Do you want them? I was like, no, I want to watch it at home. I love watching the games at home. It's a lot to go there. It's just so much going on. And then finally around like Thursday, I was like, oh yeah, if you have those tickets still, I'd love to go. So I got 2 tickets, was sitting up in the reserve level and on the right field reserve level. And that was the greatest moment I have ever seen in my sports watching history. That grand slam from Freddie Freeman is embedded in my brain at this point, and it's never going anywhere. I'm so happy I went to that game. That is a memory that's going to live with me for the rest of my life.
How much did your bones rattle from that stadium going off?
It was insane. I lost my voice, but I think I filmed myself after screaming for a few minutes. I filmed myself on Instagram, and I think my voice cracked like 5 times from screaming so loud. The place, I've never heard a stadium in general that loud. I've never seen it shake like that before. The fact that it was Dodgers, Yankees, extra innings, World Series, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, that place, Dodger Stadium, it's a special place when all of that is added up, and I've been to those kind of postseason games. I was at the game where it was a Dodgers walk-off, NLDS, James Loney or Mark Loretta hit the ball into Matt Holliday's nutsack, and they go on to win. That whole, I was on top deck too, so things, I understand I'm poor, things were just shaking and rattling. Guys, if you've never been to a postseason game at Dodger Stadium, could not recommend it more. Just don't go to NLDS Game 2 from last year. That would be a bad one to go to. It was also pretty angry. I think people were, upset at what was transpiring there. A couple of things here. First, we got a $4.99 super chat from our friend Richie Flores. Says, I don't know what's better, Greg's living room or Kevin's kitchen. Trade CT3 and Outman. Be done with it already. Better swings available at a park. Ouch.
Can you explain to me the kitchen? Does he do the show out of his kitchen?
Kevin does it out of his kitchen. It's kind of the kitchen has sort of become its own character. It also features a dog.
It's a very strange place to do a show, is the kitchen. Yeah.
Well,
isn't there like bounces?
It's an apartment in Chicago. He's not flush with space,
Yeah, no, it's my living room too.
Wait, let's get the full. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Look at that. Got the living room, got the stuff on the walls. You know what I'm saying?
This is All Dodgers Cribs with Greg Bergman. Appreciate you tuning in with us. A couple more things, guys, I want to tell you. Once again, please do subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. If we can do it by like opening day, that'd be pretty fucking cool. We're closing in on 9,200, so appreciate you guys. Thank you. It's a difference a year makes, once again, huh? Let me clear this. Let me do this. But I also want to tell you guys about Underdog Fantasy, because it's the easiest place to play all your fantasy sports, and it's now proudly helping support us here at the All Dodgers Podcast and all 9,100 plus subscribers we do have. If you want to make some picks on your favorite sports, Underdog Fantasy offers a unique approach to fantasy sports with a simple pick'em style format, so it's easy even for idiots like me, although Greg will tell you shortly, maybe it wasn't too easy because I did some panic picks just a few minutes ago. But I'll say I do want to play with people smarter than me as we get closer to the season. But anyways, here's how it works. You just pick higher or lower. Higher or lower between 2 and 8 players any day, and you can win up to 325 times your entry. That's as 100 to X. With us and our promo code right here, it's 325X. You use that promo code, all Dodgers. New users get a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash, which is just as good as money. again, these picks, not very good picks. I only did 2. I was in a hurry. I did this like minutes before the show, and I failed everybody. But you guys can be better than me as long as you use that promo code. Sign up at underdogfantasy.com today. Download the app or click the link in the description below. Please do use that promo code ALLDodgers for your free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Thank you for hearing me out, and let's get back into it.
All right, I just want to see real fast, what is Julius Randle doing? He has okay. You're not too bad. They're in the second quarter. Julius Randle has 6 points, so he's 3 of 7, 0 of 2 from 3. So you're looking okay so far. That one's not so bad. I think Amen Thompson's going to screw you. I think that's the one that's going to hurt you.
It's like I was like this, Julius Randle, former Laker. Of course he's going to let me down.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it works.
That was my feeling on it. All right, so we've talked around it. We talked a good bit around it. We've talked directly about it a whole bunch, but 2025 season is pretty dang close for us. And the Dodgers, breaking news, have made a lot of moves, a lot of additions, couple of subtractions. Gavin Lux, I guess you could argue, somebody put it in the chat, Diego Cartaya, just to mention another name DFA'd, and today Ryan Braiser. But the Dodgers are stacked as they look to run it back in 2025. So I wanted to ask you, I want to get your thoughts on it because I appreciate you as a ball knower, phrasing. What are the biggest strengths for LA and what are the biggest weaknesses for this Dodgers team in our minds heading into spring training and heading into the new season? Because you were already alluding to it, worried about some of the outfield, some of the defense. Mookie Betts at second base, Ken Rosenthal in the Athletic, I think it was last week, mentioned the Dodgers' Achilles heel kind of being the defense. Let's just start off on Mookie at shortstop because we had some issues with that last year. So blanket question. Let's do negative first. Weaknesses. What are you worried about most?
I'm most definitely worried about the defense. I'm not. Let me get this straight and be clear. I'm not worried about this team right now. There is not a lot to be worried about. This is a legitimate super team. However, if I am going to try and find something, it is definitely the defensive portion of this team. I also do not believe in any sense that Mookie Betts will be playing shortstop. I think Mookie Betts is going to be the starting second baseman. I just can't see anything else possibly happen. You have Miguel Rojas and you have Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman is much better as a shortstop. And if not, when he's not playing a shortstop, you can have Miguel Rojas there. You don't need to play Mookie Betts at short. However, if Mookie Betts really wants to be the best shortstop in the league, I believe that Mookie Betts could be the best shortstop in the league because of his athletic abilities, because he's had so much time in the offseason to learn the position, because he will have so much be at that point and have an entire spring training instead of 3-4 days before the season started like they did last year because Gavin Lux couldn't figure it out. However, so I don't believe he's going to be there. I think he's going to be the second baseman, even opening day.
Really? You think they pull the plug that quick again?
I don't think they're going to pull the plug. I don't think he's actually going to play that position. I don't see why. I think they said that he's going to be the shortstop, and this is purely speculation, of course. I think they said he was the starting shortstop so they could raise the value of Gavin Lux and move him. They now moved him. I will not be surprised if Andy Pages is your starting center fielder and Tommy Edman is your starting shortstop. It just makes way too much sense to me when you have a guy like Tommy Edman, who's a great infielder, put him at the position that he's going to be good at, which is shortstop. You can put somebody else in the center field, but your question was, what's the biggest weakness? It is defense. It is that outfield defense. It is that third base from Muncy, who did get a little bit better, but still, the defense in general is the weakest portion of this team, and still like just good. It's not A+. Yeah. It's not F-. It's just good. It's like a B, which a lot of teams would absolutely love.
Yeah, it's we're looking at our steak cooked to like 162 instead of 160. Like there's we've had seasons, we've had years, we've had lifetimes where we've complained about a whole hell of a lot more when you're talking about this Dodgers team, but. Yeah, if it's just defense and the defense is mid, they're okay, they're major league average. All of the insane amount of arms, all of the slug that this team has is going to help, kind of cover some of those issues. And the good thing is, you mentioned Miggy Rowe, who is your starting shortstop. I would be that one. I would be jaw on the floor shocked that they do end up not going with Mookie, just because they've said it, they've doubled down, they've tripled down, and I'm not throwing you under the bus on this. I'm just like, they said it so much. On the other hand, Dodgers aren't always the most, forthright with us, and not always very, very truthful at times. And I could also see, trying to drive up the price of some of your talent on the roster. But yeah, I mean, Mookie at short, it had its moments of being okay last year. It had a lot of its moments of not being all that great. And to say that you're trying to run it back, you're trying to become the first team in what is it, almost 25 years, we'll say 25 years. There it is. Try to become the first team in 25 years to run it back. And you're putting your all-star right fielder, who's now decently into his 30s, and move him to shortstop permanently or full-time for the first time since he was a child. It's definitely interesting. And Teoscar Hernandez, it's a choice. That was a decision. Teoscar Hernandez, not always the most defensively gifted outfielder. Right field, definitely his best spot. Tommy Edman he was fine in center field for sure, but has 68 career games in center field. He is not, an outfielder by any stretch of the imagination. So I agree with your take there. I would rather probably see Tommy in the infield, where, oh, by the way, he's a Gold Glove Award winner at second base, but you add Hae-Sung Kim. What does that look like? The outfield to me kind of feels like sort of wait and see. If anything, the whole defense for the team is sort of like a wait and see. Like early in the season, I'm going to be watching Mookie Betts, because my assumption, my gut tells me they're going to try Mookie at shortstop, and maybe they can get 1 or 2, maybe 3 seasons out of him at shortstop, and hopefully somebody's come further along. More likely scenario is something closer to what you're kind of saying. I don't know that he's not the starting shortstop, especially with the shortened spring training and Tokyo series and all of that. But it's nice to know Miguel Rojas is there. You have yourself a platinum glove caliber shortstop, just kind of chilling, being like, hey, if you need me, I'm gonna be in the back. I'm taking my break right now,
So let me ask you a question. So we talk how great this Dodgers front office is, how great the team is, top to bottom, all the way through. Do you think that they would be this stupid to play Mookie Betts at shortstop, who has never played that position in his entire career? Do you think that front office, who wants positionality and wants somebody behind the next guy, would make Mookie Betts learn this position in the offseason, in spring training, to give him a shot at shortstop when you have 2 legitimate shortstop on your roster in Tommy Edman and Miguel Rojas, and even Hae-Sung Kim, who apparently can play all throughout the infield?
Yeah.
What reason would this extremely smart front office have to move Mookie Betts, your second best player possibly, to play a position that he doesn't know? I just can't see how they would be that dumb when he can play second at a very high level. It makes 0 sense.
To the immediate question, the answer for me is, if it works out, this front office, again, it's a genius move. It's a genius decision, brilliant decision for them to be like, oh, we're going to put our superstar outfielder at shortstop. And if it works, now all of a sudden you have arguably the best shortstop in baseball with Mookie Betts at the position. If it doesn't work out and you give him a month, you give him 2 months of leash, where, they've told us, we've had, guests on. Dino Ebel told Alana and I, talking about, the shortstop for scenario issues, more so for Mookie, was all throwing, where he didn't really have an opportunity to ramp up and learn them. It was trial by fire for Mookie Betts playing shortstop last year. Now you look at it, he's had a full off season, he's practicing, all that kind of stuff. You feel a little bit better, but back to the point, if it doesn't work out for the first month or 2 or 3, again, you have bullets in the chamber, you have a different weapon, you have Mickey Rowe, you have, I'm sure Hae-Sung Kim is going to get some opportunities at short during spring training. Tommy Edman can just come, move right back into the infield and fix that issue. So,
why even try for the issue is my question. I get it,
because if it works, you're a genius.
Why are you putting an if into the scenario at all when this front office is saying to you all offseason that we don't want ifs? We don't want any ifs in our bullpen. We don't want any ifs in our starting rotation. We don't want any ifs in our outfield. So we have 2. We picked up 2. Like, we don't want any ifs for this team whatsoever. We want to have as complete a team as possible going into the season so they don't have to do anything at the trade deadline. I mean, Andrew Friedman really said, I don't want to do anything at the trade deadline. Yeah. So why go in with ifs when you don't need to? I get it. Mookie Betts is an incredible athlete, and he can absolutely learn the position, and he could be very good, and he very probably could be the best shortstop in the game like you're talking about. But why risk that when you can just play him at second base and have legitimate shortstops playing shortstop, their normal position? In my brain, I just can't put 2 and 2 together that Andrew Friedman would be this stupid. I just can't.
Listen, man, maybe this is how he gets off, all right? Maybe this is how he gets his jollies after doing this job for 20 years.
He's second best player, rolling around. He's doing what he should be.
He's got his robe. He's got his water bottle. He's got a stogie, and he's like, fuck it, Mookie, shortstop, go.
You seen the robe when, like, in the picture?
Yeah. On the flip side, I also wonder if it's not, is it the front office? Is it the decision makers, or is it Mookie being like, nah, I really want to try that? Because Mookie's also been painfully honest with us that he gets bored, and he's been bored at times. He's very good at the outfield. It's not always the most exciting place for him to play. I've argued that I think having the couple months off for that broken hand was a game changer for him, because he was able to kind of go live his life, during the middle of summer for a little bit, and he seemed to enjoy it. Hung out with Joe Davis, called some games, doing a bunch of different little things, and enjoyed himself. He's still trying to make the game fun and exciting for the next 7-8 years on his contract. From what I've heard, from what I understand, Mookie is a fairly decent, kind of driving, motivating factor for Mookie being the shortstop. I doubt he can just kind of be like, hey guys, I want to do it, because also at the same time, I agree. It's like, how fucking, I don't know about stupid, but like, why are you creating this scenario where maybe you do need to deal with this tough question earlier in the season or something like that? So I get it. I'm just saying, I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out, and I'm going to be watching Mookie like a hawk at shortstop. Not that I'm some sort of big time pro scouting dude, but I'm going to be watching, and you're going to look for every little nuance that's wrong, every little thing that could go wrong, and be like, is that going to be the championship? Is that a World Series caliber shortstop? That's going to be our question we're going to have for months.
Everything you're saying makes just too much sense to not do it. Everybody's going to be putting a microscope on you as the shortstop because, hey, guess what? It's a super team to a huge extent. So why put yourself through that? I get moving from right field and moving down to second base. I get it. Like, you moved back to right field because you needed to. Now the idea is that you're going to be in the infield for the rest of your career. Second base is a perfect spot for you. And if you really need to, if something happens to Edman and Rojas, you can move over to short every once in a while and have your different, like, your fixture throwing problems or whatever it is. Why put yourself in the position to be sitting there at shortstop for no good reason? Just because I feel like doing it, I feel like I want to get, I don't know. None of it, as much as we keep, you can talk around it in big old circles.
Yeah.
it makes zero sense. There's no reason at any point for Mookie Betts to play shortstop.
Listen, I agree. I agree with you, and I agree with them.
Otherwise,
I am gonna be a fence rider on this as hard as I can, and it's the world's strongest fence. I'll be like, I told you guys, or I told you guys either way. But no, I agree with you. It's definitely, you're introducing a variable that you don't need to, but season's also very long. You can. And, if that doesn't work, or like we've had the stupid like Nolan Arenado rumors. Last time I think you were on, we talked a whole bunch of Nolan and how that doesn't make sense. But let's just say Nolan goes out and has himself a good year. He's still in St. Louis, and Muncy is hurt or is bad or something, then you could still pull that trigger. Then like it's a long season. They'll find a way that if Mookie doesn't work out at shortstop, they'll find a way to fix the problem. And if he does, they'll find a way to fix other problems. But it's funny. We have a comment from, where did it go? A comment from, I think it was Denny Cortez saying it's funny that this is the biggest, like, how tough it is. There it is. Danny Cortez. This is Dodgers fans' biggest problem right now. Hilarious. We're being like, oh no, this world-class athlete is playing an athletic position.
Play shortstop. Oh, terrible.
Oh man, that is funny. Also, a little bit earlier in the chat, we got a $1.99 from our friend Noah Ortega, and he had a point for you. I guess really generally for the show, because usually on my show it's hat backwards. But it's more of a me and Jeff Snyder thing. Oh, there it is. Look at this guy. Yeah, look at that.
I haven't worn my hat backwards since I was in like high school.
Hold on, everybody watching this, just focus. I just see him going like, "How do you do, fellow kids?"
I need a
skateboard. How do you do, fellow kids? But he honestly, said, and also you getting able to say dog shit. Noah was happy you were able to say whatever the hell you want on this show.
It felt so good to say that, but either way, like when I was in college, I was the dude that was wearing a visor, but I put it backwards and upside down. So
a douchebag is what you're saying.
Oh, big time douchebag. It was one of those things. Like I had bleached tips. Not only did I not bleach my tip, or didn't bleach, I did it where it was. I'm trying to get it even. I bleached them and then made them light brown, so they were light brown on top and dark brown on the bottom. Oh yeah, I went full force.
How many NSYNC posters did you have?
0.
Or was she a big time NSYNC fan? We'll move on. On. Hey,
I had Kathy Ireland behind my.
Oh my Cathys. Hey, there's a Lonely Island drop for you guys. We talked negative. What is the biggest strength you think as we just drastically shift back into Dodger talk? What is the biggest strength? One biggest strength for this team. Go.
Jeez, the biggest strength for this team. Pick one, but really, it's the most obvious one that there possibly could be. It's Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is on this team is the biggest strength. It made the whole difference in the world last year because Mookie got hurt, and Freddie had his moments where he was hurt, and Muncy was hurt, and all your stars were hurt besides Teoscar. But as long as I feel like we haven't talked about Shohei Ohtani in months, which is crazy to me.
I know, right?
But Shohei Ohtani is the biggest strength that you have on this team, no matter what he's doing. And you might even get to see him pitch, most likely get to see him pitch this year too. So you're getting the full two-way player in Mookie Betts. In Shohei Ohtani, like that by far to me, and I know it's a cop-out, but he hasn't been talked about in quite some time. He is your biggest strength, period.
By the way, just officially got his hands on his MVP award at the recent BBWAA dinner thing, award ceremony or whatever. Pretty good, and the whole rest of the league, the whole rest of baseball thought that much. And yeah, it is funny how, a year ago, 13 months ago, that was it. Those are your headlines. Everything was Shohei. Finally going to be a Dodger. What does it look like? What will the Dodgers look like? And now it's just like, and I think this is what I love about him being on the Dodgers and about the Dodgers as a whole. It's like he just kind of fits in with this team. He's not the most important part of the team. All of them play a role, and I think that's what makes it fun for him, and that's where you're able to see him roll out of bed and kind of, well, I didn't say roll out of bed and put up a 50-50, but still, like, that's how he's able to go out there, smile, have fun, survive survived the whole Ippei nightmare to start the season. All the things that could have gone wrong, they didn't, and he put up, the best, you could argue, the best season in Dodgers history, one of the best seasons in baseball history. And the fact that we don't need to talk about him, it's not just, you talk about the Angels, it's always, it's Mike Trout. You could pick any, like, you could pick Shohei, you can call it Mookie's team. Fuck, you could probably find somebody to call it Alex Vesia's team. Maybe you won't find anybody to call it Michael Grove's team.
Yeah, Michael Grove. He's the guy for you, huh?
I had to. That one's for me.
Yeah, that is for you. Honestly, you do the show every week, a couple times a week. You do Dodgers territory, which I'm very annoyed that I haven't been invited on yet to. I love Alana Rizzo. She loves me. She got me my dog. I'm just kidding. But the fact is, you talk about, when was the last time you actually talked about Shohei Ohtani?
Man, that is a good point. I can't think of it right now. I really can't. Because he's just like, also at the same time, he's kind of just the DH.
He's kind of the best player in the history of the game and the best player in the world, and we're never talking about him for the Dodgers.
It's tough. It's really tough to be a ho-hum best player in baseball, huh? All right, fine. I'm going to write it down. Conscious decision, more M-O-A-R Shohei. that's
just a little bit.
That's the plan.
It's been an hour, and we haven't talked about Shohei once.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Yamamoto. You almost, glossed over Roki Sasaki. We barely talked about starting pitching, by the way. And for me, that's my biggest strength for this team, because you add Blake Snell, and I don't think that gets talked about enough, but you still have Yama, you still have Glasnow in the mix, hopefully healthy. Gonna get Kershaw back. You add Roki Sasaki. Shohei Ohtani is eventually going to be in that starting rotation. What does that look like? What does Shohei Ohtani pitching for the Dodgers look like? Who do it better than anybody and everybody in baseball, arguably. And also Tony Gonsolin in the mix, who is very, very good when he's right, when he's healthy. Dustin May is nasty when he's right, when he's healthy. Emmett Sheehan coming back. Ben Kasparius available. Nick Frasso probably making his debut this year. It's just a wealth of pitches, as our friend D-Mac might say. Landon Knack, World Series champion Landon Knack. That's such a strength. And look, I got Shohei in on that. Does that count a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, that counts a little bit.
I'll take it.
The team is and the pitching staff is beyond stacked. It's kind of ridiculous. But I want to go back to, you were talking about Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin. Where do you see Dustin May at the end of this year? Because I don't think he's going to be a starting pitcher. I know they just brought in Tanner Scott. I know they just brought in Kirby Yates. They have Evan Phillips. They have Michael Kopech. They have Blake Trinan. They have all these guys. I think by the end of the year, at some point, Dustin May is going to be the closer.
I don't know about closer. Like, if they didn't acquire these last two guys, if they didn't, pick up Yates, didn't pick up Scott, there was room in that bullpen. And there's going to be injuries. All of these things will sort of figure themselves out, whether it be other people getting hurt or Dustin May getting hurt, as he has been known to do. But
his throat too. Like, how does that happen?
How does that happen?
I don't really want to know the reason that does happen.
Swallow, so chew, then swallow, everybody. I don't, and that's been another one of the nagging questions, and very, very like, where do I park this? I don't know what's a good car. Where do I park this Porsche? Yeah. Where do I park this new car? It's like, it's such a problem that only the Dodgers can have, where there's too much talent. They have so much talent on the 40-man roster. They have to DFA Ryan Braiser, who, when healthy, was really, really good for this team last year. Why it wasn't Michael Grove, I don't know, but still, team control, that's why. I don't know. That's really something I can't even put on my Andrew Friedman cap and figure out how all of that shakes out.
I gotta go back.
That's fine.
But
we appreciate you stopping by.
Dustin May, I feel like May has some of the best stuff in the game and possibly ever in the game. Like, when Blake Trinan is right, he's unhittable.
Yeah.
When Dustin May is healthy for a short period of time, he's amazing. The slider goes from one side of the plate all the way across the other side of the plate, and it's going at 100 miles an hour. It's just not something that should be.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. So if you can get him and just get him there for 3 outs, I don't see him starting. I mean, as much as I would love to see him start, especially with what you have, I would love to see him start. I just don't know if he can stay healthy through that. So if you put him in a role that's where he's just got to get you 3 outs, like they did with John Smoltz, and just said, boom, go in, you got the stuff, go be the closer. I could see Dustin May in that same type of role. Now, if they want to continue him to be a starter, cool. Like, he's that good too. But to me, when I see it, I just see closer, bullpen.
And being a 2-pitch guy, like just letting it eat with that nasty 2-seamer, running fastball and slider. That's all you got to do. That's all you need as a closer. I mean, shit, we saw Kenley Jansen do it without that for the better part of 10 years. I mean, there was a point where he had to start integrating that slider a whole lot more because the cutter got hittable. But yeah, that would be a fantastic role for him. But there's also, again, now so much talent in that bullpen where how do you fit Dustin May into the equation? Like, are we looking at potentially needing to trade or DFA somebody like him? This is a team that has a finite amount of roster spots. 26 men can only be on the field or available to be on the field any given day. And, it's funny. Another name we completely, and I've been doing it all offseason, completely didn't mention, Bobby Miller, also still a Los Angeles Dodger.
Yeah, not very good Los Angeles Dodger last year, but he is still a Los Angeles Dodger and was your top prospect for like 2 years. Yeah. So he still has something there, just because he was hurt, didn't really get it figured out. But if he comes out and he's throwing gas again, like, this is insanity. Yeah, I think some of those guys do get traded, and could be for, I don't know, a shortstop. It could be for, I don't know, a big bat in the outfield. They will do whatever it takes, and they can just say, hey, we got like 8 guys that are great in the minor leagues, and we got too many good guys in the major league. So give us your best guy, and we'll give you a bunch of major league ready guys to make that happen.
A lot of very, very good problems to have for Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, and company in this Los Angeles Dodgers team. Good problems for us to have as well, because we still have to create content. Out of all of this, moving over the next 10 months or so. So we kind of need some of these things to be issues. Like, oh, Dustin May is so good, he needs a role. He needs to be in, or he's so bad, he needs to be in the bullpen. When are they going to release this guy? Whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of ripping out our hair and turning our hats backwards watching this team over the next over the course of hopefully running it back in 2025. One last
thing before you get to the last thing.
Okay, well, hold on, because I did have a super chat from Richie Flores 499 saying he'd rather see a tomato can at shortstop than Mookie Betts. Andy Pajes can't even catch cold on defense. So, anyways, your thoughts? And thank you, Richie.
I agree with the tomato can at shortstop. I do not want to see Mookie at shortstop. I mean, I know he'll be great, but I just don't want to see him. It makes no sense to me. Andy Pajes, I'm hoping he, over this offseason, figured out how to play center field, because he's going to be played at center field. They were forcing him to play center field. They really like him there because he has a monster cannon in center field. So, yeah, I agree with that. Like, I just hope that his defense does get better. The entire outfield defense needs to be better. And the last thing that I wanted to say to you, just because I don't get to do this ever, and I only got to say it once, is fuck, shit, ass. Okay, whew, feel better.
Oh, wait. Does that make it? Does that also add to the mix for you there? Well, Greg, I appreciate you coming on with me, my dude. Always fun talking Dodger baseball with you. Always fun just catching up with you, talking anything with you, learning about you as well, about Frosted Tips Bergman. We could you're gonna have to change.
Happy Ireland.
Yeah. If you find a picture, if you find like a yearbook picture, send it my way. I won't post it online. I promise you that much. But tell the people where to find you before we get out of here.
So you can find me in very many places. You can hear me on the radio from 12 to 3 on Mason and Ireland. You can find me at @corporate_Greg on Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And on Instagram, it's the same one, at @corporate_Greg. I'm going to trying to change that. It's just going to go to Greg Bergman at some point, but that's where you can find me. And during the season, Monday through Friday, from 8 live on YouTube, from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, will be Blue Review Live with me, Parker Bell, maybe Marcus Grant. Most likely, you're going to see a lot of Clint Bacias and some others. So, yes, on the ESPN LA YouTube channel.
Cool. Well, again, as always, appreciate collaborating with you, talking with you, and hopefully we can actually see each other in human flesh at some point soon, which is a weird way to say it. But on that note, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed Greg coming onto the show. Again, always fun talking to him. Thank you guys for the great comments, questions, interaction, and thank you much for the super chats as well. I also need to make sure I thank our channel members, our Patreon supporters for helping keep the show on, keep the lights on, all that kind of stuff. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show, support me, support the channel, and independent Dodgers coverage here online for much less than the price of a Dodger dog, which I'm scared of how expensive they're going to be this year. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/realfrg. The link is in the description, or click the join button somewhere under my head here on YouTube. Shout out to our moderators for doing a kick-ass job. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Again, trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Listen to the shows in podcast form, rate, review the show. That also really, really helps out the program as well. Give producer Kevin a follow if you don't mind. Make sure, again, you're following at corporate_Greg on the social medias. I am Real FRG on the social medias. All of those links will be in the description. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.